Okay, so having said that, I'm going to touch on just quickly the chaos cycle. Who's familiar with the chaos cycle? Anybody who's opted into our website, you get a free audio. So I would encourage you to do that because I'm just going to touch on it, then you can go there and get it. So it's yoursacredgifts.com, and then on the right-hand side, there's an opt-in, and we don't bombard you with a lot of stuff. I send out, 4 e-blasts a year. Not really big into all that. You usually get an e-blast when there's a workshop coming up or a trip somewhere. So but I'm going to touch on it now, and then I would encourage you to listen to the whole thing. And the reason I do this right now, while we're doing this shift, is because I understand and I want to honor the fact that some of you in this room are not in the action phase. As a matter of fact, by a show of hands, some of you know and can tell me right now that you feel you are not in an action phase right now in your life. You're just coasting. Yeah, put your hands right up. Okay, good. So I'm going to show you what goes on, and this will help give you some peace of mind. And also, it's going to help give you some context so that when we put you into the next activity, if you're in a phase that is not an action phase, it'll help the people you're working with understand where you're at in your mind, okay? All right, so here's the chaos cycle. Basically, the chaos cycle is something you can't really avoid. You move through it. Your soul, at a soul level, your soul knows how to move you through chaos. But if you don't understand what's going on, you can resist it, and you can end up staying in chaos for quite a while. How many of you have spent a pretty good amount of time in chaos? By a show of hands. Yes. Okay. So we'll start with chaos over here. All right. So when you're in chaos, typically how people will describe how they feel. I have been in chaos. It's interesting for me to teach this while I'm kind of moving out of it, but I've been in this phase now for several months with all of a sudden finding out that I've got to move, new course being put on my plate, Margene popping up like, hey, come on, I'm coming on board, we're doing this, right? So I have been in this, I know it intimately. So when you're in chaos, typically what you will feel is overwhelm. All right, Stella, can you just drop it down one? Thanks. So typically you will feel overwhelmed. You will feel like you want to run away and hide. You will feel like you feel guilty. Often people will feel guilty because they are in chaos and they feel like they should be doing more and they aren't doing more and they're beating themselves up. So when you're in the chaos phase, it can be absolutely overwhelming. It might be things aren't working at work. Things aren't working in your relationship. You could be in total chaos at work and it will affect your life. It would be unusual to be in chaos at work and it doesn't spill into your personal life. So when you're in chaos, it's overwhelm, often anxiety, insomnia, not eating well, not out there exercising, not taking care of yourself, and you can feel stuck and you can feel like a loser, okay, when you're in chaos. Your soul naturally knows how to move you out of chaos because the way out of chaos is to create space. And the way to create space, your inner guidance system will guide you to declutter, clean out a closet, empty the trunk of your car, clean out the back seat of your car, pack up boxes, take stuff to the thrift store. How many of you have had that experience? You know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? That is your innate way. Nobody came and told you that, right? Like it's in you. It's like, I feel like I can't do anything until I clean off my desk. I have to clear off my desk, and then I'll feel like I can breathe. That is exactly the experience, because what happens is physical is memorable, so you clear things off in your physical environment, and not only have you cleared space physically, but that turmoil and chaos that's going on inside, all of a sudden there's a little bit of space there. It feels like, I can breathe. My desk is cleared off. Does this make sense? So the way out of chaos, the way out is to decommit, declutter, get out of anything you absolutely don't have to be in. If you're on 5 different committees and they're actually kind of sucking the life out of you right now and you dread going on Monday night, it is time to say stop. Maybe it's a temporary suspension, but you need to put a stop to it. Anything that is not absolutely essential in your life when you're in chaos, bring it to a stop. This might be a time where you actually find yourself quitting a job. You're just in total chaos, and the way out of the chaos is to actually terminate the job. terminate a toxic relationship that's going on in your life, terminate something that is just not working for anymore that you have moved beyond. You're getting this? It could be something lovely that you're doing volunteering. It could be something wonderful that you're doing volunteering, but for now, it just you can't do it. You've got to put your energy somewhere else. So it's all about clearing away, cleaning up, decluttering, making space, making space, making space, making space in your mind, in your heart, and in your physical environment. And what will happen then is you will naturally move into the creative phase. And some of you will recognize this. You have now created space, right? By getting rid of stuff, there's some space. The universe abhors a vacuum. How many of you have ever heard that before? The universe, you ever noticed if you pull a weed or you clear out a patch of dirt, within no time at all the weeds come back in and fill it, or the grass comes back in and fills it up? So what happens is when you create space by doing the necessary things to get out of chaos, now there's all this space, and the universe starts to fill it by things like, and some of you will recognize this is the phase you're in. All of a sudden, you have all these new ideas, Duet. All of a sudden, all this stuff is possible. I could write a book. I could start a new business. I could start online dating. I could go on a trip. I could do this. Oh, I think what I'm going to do is this, but this is also calling to me. And you have all these ideas of all these possibilities of things you could be doing. So what you will feel like when you are in the creative phase, you'll feel overwhelmed. You'll feel guilty. You're going to feel confused. You're going to feel in turmoil. You're going to beat yourself up. And sometimes some people in this phase feel even more like a loser because there's all these ideas coming in and you have zero motivation to act on them. Because you're not supposed to. This is not an action phase. This is a receiving phase. When you're in the creative phase, what you want to do is receive the ideas. The idea comes in, I could write a book. Say thank you. Write it on a piece of paper. I used to have a magic box, and I had little cards beside it, and capture the ideas when they come in. That's all you need to do. You do not need to act on them. Capture them and put them in your little magic box, and you can look at them later. I could write a book. I could go on a trip. I could take a course, and you start looking through courses, and you're feeling this overwhelmed, like all these possibilities. So who can relate to this right now, where there are just tons of possibilities happening? Yes. So all you have to do is receive the possibilities. Just be open to receiving. Just receive them, jot them down, jot them down, jot them down. Then moving through the creative cycle. So this is receiving, filling in those spaces. And if you don't open to exactly what Marjane was saying earlier about release and then bring into that space in your container something you want, if you just kind of leave this empty and you don't sort of set an intention for wanting to create some good stuff to fill that space, you know what can happen in here? All kinds of drama can come in. Lots of drama and lots of stuff happens, and what happens is people move right back into chaos. So once you have cleared and decluttered and made space, invite like new ideas. What could I do? That's a great question to put out there. What could I do? What else could I do? What are some other things I could explore? And I tell you, ideas will start to drop in. And at least now you're filling spaces with possibilities, okay? So now you sit in this phase. You're still feeling overwhelmed. You're not quite sure what to do. You've collected ideas. Now it's time to go through those ideas. So read your journal or your pieces of paper, wherever it is you've got them, and just pick one. Just pick one. I almost want to say it doesn't really matter which one, but if you just tap into your heart and you read, you pull out the first card, it says, I could write a book. You will know there'll be a part of you that's like, yes, I'm so ready to do that. Or it'll be like, yeah, I could write a book, but I don't think I want to write it right now. And you put it back in the box. Take the next idea. I could go on a trip. Yes, I really want to go to Ireland with Manette. I don't have the money, so I'm not going. Put it back in the box. Okay? Take another card. Oh, I really want to go to Ireland with Manette. Can I have the money? Call me and we'll book it. Right? Pick one thing. Pick one thing out of your list and then move in the direction of that one thing. So now to get out of the creative phase and move into the next phase, you've kind of got the one, that's nurse talk to do that. The one idea of what you want to do next. Okay? So now you've got this idea. This phase is what most people don't do, don't know about. It happens anyway, but they don't recognize how wonderful it is. What most people will do is they will go straight into action. Okay, so they're in chaos. They follow their heart. They clear out space. Ideas come in. They say, yes, I'm going to pick this idea, and they go straight over here into action too fast. They don't let things sit, and then they go into action, and then the action is uphill. It feels like you are swimming upstream. There are certain personality types that are super focused on achieving and succeeding. They get trapped in this all the time. They're the busy people that are always in chaos. They've got a new idea, they go straight into action, and they spin around in here. This phase here is the percolating phase, and this phase is the rest phase. So this is R&R. So you've decided that the one idea that you have that you really want to go with is, let's say it is that you want to write a book, or you want to renovate and restore a 1952 Chevrolet, or whatever it is. So what happens is if you just allow some time, there is something called divine providence that can occur. So this phase is allowing the idea some time to percolate so that the right people can show up, an article you need to read that's not going to be written until next week, right? You've got to allow for time. And this is the phase that religious people might call the let go, let God, or surrender phase. That's right here. That's where I know what I want to do. I know I want to take that trip. I know I want to write a book, but you're not like in the action phase yet. And you don't really know even what the next step is. You just sit with it and you allow things to start to line up. How many of you have had that experience where all of a sudden things are just, you were telling me that at lunch, that all of a sudden these things are just starting to line up and it's kind of starting to make sense. And the way you will feel in this phase, you're going to feel confused. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to be hard on yourself. You're going to beat yourself up. And now you know, but if you didn't know this, you've got this idea and you're beating yourself up for not feeling motivated to take action, but it's because you're not supposed to. So in this phase, you need to rest, recover, because you've been in chaos and you haven't had a chance to recover. You need to restore yourself. You need to nourish yourself. This is the time where you can do some exercise, focus on your nutrition, maybe go for a massage, maybe take a nice holiday, to go on a vacation or something. You may still have a job that you have to go to every day. Okay, you may still have a job you have to go, and you may have commitments of raising children every day, but in spite of that, you understand you're here and you just need to take care of yourself. While you are doing that, I guarantee you divine providence starts to move in and things start to line up and people start to show up and magical things start to happen that you can't explain, that you could not have made happen if you'd have gone straight into action. And now you will know exactly when it's time to take action. You will know exactly what the next step is because it'll actually be right in front of you. You might be scared and not take it. You might need a bit of coaching. But the step will be there. And now when you take it, you're now like paddling with the current. It's so much easier than to go straight always into action and be like, oh my gosh, this is really hard work. I heard this presented the first time he called it something different, but his name was Greg Montana, and he called it the cycle of perturbation or something. And what came out of it for me was my simplistic way of making it make sense for me. But what I realized, and I remember putting up my hand and saying to him, what do you do when you're here, but everybody is calling you because they want you to be here, and they're like, when can we meet? And what about this? And I think you should do that. And how about this idea? And he said, take their number and call them later. And for me, I'm telling you, it was life-changing. It lifted everything off my shoulder. He said, if it's meant to be, they're still going to be there when you get in the action phase. You don't have to act on it right now because they tell you should be doing something, or you're thinking you should be doing something and you're beating yourself up. So he said, just take their phone number, and you'll know when you're here, and then call them up. And if they've moved on, that's okay. And if they're still there, then it was meant to be. Now you go into action, and now the action is flowing, and amazing things are happening. So let's back up. Who's in this phase? Who thinks they're probably in the R&R phase? They've got ideas. It's just not actionable right now, okay? And who's in the action phase? Who thinks like, you know what? Things are flowing. Things are happening. They're coming together, okay? What's going to happen? You've put your hand up on every phase. Yeah. Yeah, so it is. It is possible.
Yeah, so it's interesting because my husband is like, okay, you're doing this so fast. but you keep talking about this one.
Yeah.
But now make a lot of sense because I'm visionary. I have to repeat it constantly.
Yeah.
This is what I did with the other company 4 years ago. And now, and I kept talking about it. I was scared to death to do this. And everything just opened up, and it's so easy doing it. Just like, I feel like I'm just, things are coming.
Right.
And the other one, then I keep talking about it. And he's like, okay, the other one, you're not doing anything, but it's just
Yes.
everything.
So it is possible. Yeah, it is possible. What I'll tell you is if you're in chaos in one project, typically it'll spill into almost everything in your life. If you're feeling in chaos, it kind of shuts everything down. But it is possible that you can be at different places. So just know that when you get into action and it's flowing and things are coming together and it's happening, you are going to go into chaos. You cannot avoid it. But what's lovely about this is you know it's coming and you know exactly what you need to do to move through it with ease and grace, which is that when you start to feel like, yeah, I'm taking, oh my God, it's growing. And this isn't a negative thing. This could be a company that's flourishing and growing and lots happening, and it starts to feel like chaos, but you know exactly what you need to do. Okay, I can't be doing choir practice anymore on Tuesday nights. I've got it. That has to stop. Or it might be, I have to keep choir practice because that's the one thing that's keeping me sane on Tuesday nights, and I have to let go of the PAC committee or whatever it is, right? So it's really choosing carefully, knowing that you're going to go into chaos, but now you know how to get out of it. And the exciting thing is when you drop back into chaos, it means that now you're moving in the creative phase. And what happens is when you work with this rhythm, this is really, you go through it, but every time you go through it, you're literally moving up in your evolution and in your growth, in your business. It's just like this beautiful upward spiral. Instead of some of you have been spiraling around the sink drain or the toilet bowl for a while, right? You're just like spinning around in there. But using this, it will help go up. So the reason I'm showing you this now is because for the next activity, I want to honor the fact that not everybody's in the action phase, even though we are going to ask you now to come up with an idea to take action on. Does that make sense? Do you like it? Is it good? So turn to somebody and say, that was good. How many got something really helpful out of that? By a show of hands. Good. Thank you.